Right.
Hi, how you doing?
Excellent.
Greetings, rowers, and we are welcome to another exciting episode of Ready Row USA podcast featuring the best of rowing news, interviews with people like Jim Dietz, and gadgets and gear from rowers, coaches, and clubs across the country. Just today, we're previewing the 2019 Masters, U.S. Rowing Masters Nationals Championships. So they are going to be held August 15th to 18th in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And that's also known as Beer City, USA. Is that any experience with that, Jim?
I've got a lot of experience with that. And to be quite honest, Charlotte, that was the drawing card to get me to enter the regatta this year.
I knew it. I knew there was something that had to happen, is that beer garden.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're here, and we have Rowing.Chat is an international network of rowing podcasts, and we welcome people to subscribe. The URL is Rowing.Chat, and you can receive notifications of upcoming shows, and send in your own tips, your gadgets, your favorite gadgets and hacks and gear. And we really like to hear from our viewers and people who follow the podcast. We're also we're on YouTube, so there is some visual content, and we're on Stitcher and SoundCloud, and hopefully Spotify soon. But you can tune in to any of those channels and read the show notes where we have additional information. So we have the one reason that we're able to bring this to you, this rowing news for the U.S., is our sponsors. And Faster Masters Rowing is an incredibly great resource for just improving your technique as a master's rower. And I just spilled my water, so that's okay. That happens in a live broadcast. We also are grateful to Oar Inspired. They have a great GoPro mount that we have a discount for if you go to rowing.chat/sponsors and type in Oar Inspired. You will get that amazing discount. It really holds your GoPro or your camera. I have a Garmin Verb, which also fits the GoPro mounts. And it's just great to have it, to be confident that it's going to stay in position on your boat while you're trying to get video. So try that out. And if you want to bring some more confidence into the boat for women, the Rose and Thorn Active Bras have been a longtime sponsor of Ready Row USA. So thank you to all our three sponsors. And Jim, you're going to the Masters Nationals for the first time. Are you kidding me?
First time ever, Charlotte. I figured I turned 70 this year. It's been on my bucket list of things to do. And once you retire, you have the ability to do this stuff again. So
you recently retired from UMass, right?
Yep. Just retired this past November. So it's a whole new life. It's back to me again, where as a rowing coach, you're always worried about this kid or that kid, or is the boat going to show up on time, and the whole bit. And now all of a sudden you've got this time to just get in a boat and go. And it's really exhilarating. I mean, people, say retiring is tough. I think retiring is just fabulous. I mean, there's all this me time. I get up in the morning, I put in 12, 14K, and, you just great way to start the day. It's perfect.
Your words are ringing in my ears, because I've been to your rowing camp at All American in DeLand. And you said you just get up, you sit down on the erg if it's wintertime, and you just do your 10K. You just do it.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to do that, because as a master's newly competitive athlete, I've noticed that my stamina is a little bit lacking. So I'm trying to build that up, and you just got to put in the meters.
That's the best part of the sport, though, Charlotte, is building your base. And building your base is just that nice, long, slow distance where you're going, either, as I was saying to you the other day, I went out to Orleans to row with another old buddy of mine, and we're out there rowing, and did we stop when we were going past Seal Island to watch all the
Mhm.
seals? Well, of course we did. That's part of it. You just
We
go
got
out
to
and
get
you
you
go
a little.
places.
We got to get you a little camera. A little.
Well, no, that's what I was just seeing. Your ad here for the GoPro mount, it's going to be perfect for me. And I remember you rowing up on that alligator in DeLand, Florida last year. That would have been perfect for you. So you need one for your boat as well.
I know. I do. I usually carry my phone, but it's like you got to get it out, and then you got to hold it out. Make sure you don't drop it in the water. And
yeah, but
anyway,
when that gator took off the side, I thought you were going to lose that phone in the water, Charlotte, and that's dangerous.
I never went so fast as when
That's right.
you remember that? You said
I
that was the
remember that.
fastest racing start I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was so much fun. Anyway,
Yeah.
do you think you'll see any of your campers up there in the Grand Rapids at the
Oh,
Masters National?
I think so. I know Mark Wilson is driving up a boat,
Okay.
a trailer full of boats from down in Florida, and picking up boats on the way. And yeah, we'll see a lot of our Masters campers, and that's part of the allure of going to a Masters National Championship or any Masters event. It's the community. You want to be out there with the community and share the stories. I was just looking over the entry list for my event, one of the events I'm rowing, the 70-year-old single at the Masters Nationals, and the first name that pops up is Bill Maher, and Bill Maher was reigning national champion just before I came along back in the day. So it's going to be great hooking up with these people and seeing them again.
That's great. So now I've only been competing for a couple of years, but I kind of look at it as a way to measure myself against myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to climb up a little bit in the results, but it takes a while. But do you have to qualify for Masters Nationals? Do you need to kind of go to our regionals were canceled for lack of participation. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think, Charlotte, the way the sport is growing, I think what we're going to see in the next 5 years is we're going to be just like juniors rowing, where in order to get to that Masters Nationals, you're going to have to qualify at a regional to go up. Our sport is growing exponentially, and our Masters rowing is growing exponentially as well. And that's not only those that have rowed before in college and are just getting back into it now, but there's a whole another group of people that have never been in a boat before. They might have been runners or whatever, and
they're fit, they're athletes, but they're not rowers.
Yeah, the thing about our sport is your body doesn't really break down. It's like you're a distance runner. At some point, your feet are going to go, or your knees are going to go, or something's going to go, and we don't have that kind of trauma built in. We just have work built in, and those type of athletes understand our sport and can quickly adapt to it.
So if you go to so as it is now, you can register no matter what, right? No matter who you are, you don't have to qualify. And if you are people bringing their own boats? Are they hopping on trailers? Or
I think you have a mixture of both. The only other Masters event I ever went to was the Masters Worlds that was down in Florida a year or so ago. And most of the boat manufacturers show up with trailers full of boats, and people can rent boats for the day. But I'll be driving out with my single and a double for another buddy of mine. I'm picking him up on the way. We'll have 3 boats on top of the truck and a cooler in back, and we'll have the cooler loaded with good Beer City beer to drive back to the East Coast.
Yeah, well, you'll get more beer when you get there, I guess.
That's for sure.
So what's the vibe? I mean, how many people will there be? And what's
I don't know. I did hear, I was on a conversation the other day, and somebody said this is going to be record entries for the Masters Nationals, which I think that's awesome, and part of it I think is the venue. I mean, Masters are usually bringing a significant other along with them, and that significant other might not be a rower and need something to do. So when you pick a venue in a city, and there are other interesting things that you can get out and see, and a very vibrant beer tent, then you are going to have a good turnout.
Yeah, well, I hope they have lemonade too.
Yeah. Well, try lemonade and beer. Shandies are very tasty.
What?
Shandies. Oh, that's an English drink. You mix lemonade and beer, and it's called a shandy, and it goes down. It's a perfect summer drink.
Summer drink, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, what do you attribute the record entries? I mean, besides the central location, I mean, is rowing in Masters getting more visibility? I mean, I know there's companies like Hydro, that are now they're in Best Buy, and they're like, there's a lot of you have the on the water rowing.
I think part of our growth, Charlotte, well, the biggest part of our growth in the past 25 years has been women's rowing. Title IX and gender equity, which is spurred women's rowing on in the colleges. And from my experience at UMass, there were so many gals that never rowed before they got to UMass, and their parents that became involved in the sport because of the daughter, all of a sudden they're getting into the sport. And the other big thing, I think, is that we've become a spectator sport. Now that we have drones and cameras and everything else that are following the races, we're getting more races on TV. The coverage that we just saw at the English Henley, fabulous, the different camera angles. So,
wasn't that good? Yeah, that was amazing. You could even hear the coxswains cursing.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the best reality TV you can get. That's better than the old Housewives of New Jersey. I know
for sure.
Really good stuff. But I think that's part of our growth, and probably the third element, Charlotte, which is a great element, is that a lot of us are growing older, and you're seeing the 70-year-old categories filling up, and the 75 and the 80-year-old categories filling up, and more of the old boys and gals, because they are rowing all the time, are sticking around to those ripe old years.
And so, like, if I showed up, like, I'm sort of like, was in the middle of the pack in the Providence sprints, and I was sort of in the middle of the pack and ahead of the Charles, and like, am I going to see like a lot of just really amazing 63-year-old women racing?
I think you see a mixture of everything. Like I said before, it's an event, it's a gathering. It's like a homecoming. You get people in there, and they row their races, and all of a sudden, it's more than just racing. It's the community of people that you're with, and the rowing community is just a very welcoming, open community, and
well, I know that I always get nervous and wound up before a race, and then once I get in the boat, I'm okay. Like, once I get on the water, it's just all you can do is just row.
Yeah.
So the nerves kind of go away.
My old doubles partner always said, Charlotte, the day you show up for a race and you're not nervous, don't bother racing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
If it's got to mean something to you, and when you're nervous, it means something to you. So having a lot of nerves before you're going into a race, is a good thing. But like you mentioned earlier, it's like, my goals aren't so much as to beating this guy or that guy. My goals is, how fast can I be? And in the back of my mind, I have an idea of what type of time I'd like to be able to pull, to really feel like I've done the job and fulfilled myself this year, and that's part of it. And you don't need a stopwatch to tell you that, at the end of the race, when you've pushed to a certain point and it was good, it's good, and you feel good about that. You celebrate that moment, and hopefully everybody at the Masters Nationals, even if they're coming in DFL, are reaching that particular point where I've gone further than I've gone before, and it was good, and I want to come back next year and notch it up another level.
Yeah. So the national, is that a 2K or what's the distance?
What, Masters Nationals? It's 1,000.
It's 1,000. Okay, so
1,000. I think it's absolutely a ridiculous distance for Masters to be racing. To be quite honest,
you think there should be two?
I think they should be rowing longer races. Yeah, longer races are better. I mean, what do we want out of the sport? We want to build our greater aerobic base, going,
Yeah.
Beating your head against the wall for 1,000 meters, and it's like just having that lactic acid cocktail isn't the most enjoyable thing.
I know. It's like when I was at Providence, it was like I was so fast off the start, and like for 2/3 of the race, I was just like, I was ahead, or practically second or something. And then the prickly stuff started happening. And then I looked around, tried to look at the goal, and I just kind of had a little bobble there. And
it's tough. It's tough on a course at Narragansett, with no buoys or anything. You can get discombobulated and you really don't know where you are. When you're geared into a real race course, it's a lot easier.
So this one is all buoyed in lanes.
Yeah.
And where will it be? You've been on the board of U.S. Rowing, I know. I mean, how do they decide where to have it?
There is a bidding process where cities want rowers to come in. All right. All of the U.S. rowing events, even the U.S. rowing conventions, they're on a bid basis. So the local organizing committee from these different towns and municipalities will put together a bid for the championship, and then U.S. Rowing has a committee of professionals that go around, evaluate the facilities. There's a checklist of everything that you're going to need, from volunteers, the motorboats, the drivers, to buoy lines. I mean, it's done, and it's done really well. When you get to an event like that, it's like going to a world championships. Everything is set. It's pretty good. You get your money's worth.
Right. Now, I have a question about, is it Sarasota? Not Saratoga, it's Sarasota. Why do they have summer regattas in Florida? I mean, why don't they have them in the winter? And then have this, because there are people dropping out from heat stroke.
Oh, I know. I mean, even when the World Championships came to Sarasota in 2016, as you remember, it was more towards October than it was towards August, because they know how hot it is there. I mean, they have regattas going all year long in Sarasota, I
know it's a nice venue, and it's great that they have it.
Yeah.
It's just, it just seems like Grand Rapids makes sense for August.
Oh, I think so,
but anyway,
the other thing, as far as masters rowing, that I was encouraging U.S. Rowing to really consider when I was on the board is, for the sprint racing, you need these perfect venues, whether it be 2,000 meters or 1,000 meters. Yeah. But to have a Masters Nationals, all you need is 5K of water. It can be a river, it can be a lake, it could be anywhere. And my thoughts were, to expand the sport even more, we need to be moving our Masters Nationals around the country. Let's get them in cities and states that don't have any rowing, and all of a sudden you're going to see rowing growing in those areas. Because
people see that they can do it.
And as I said before, you want to pick cities where there are other things to do. Let's have a regatta in Nashville.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I want to see the Grand Ole Opry, and I want to row,
Well, that's what and we had the global, going global with Mark last week. And, we're talking about rowing around and rowing tourism. It so enriches your travel, and you meet really cool, interesting people. And so I just, I think doing this, I'm going to take encouragement from your assessment of what it's, the value of going to the nationals.
Yeah.
But where will it be next year?
I'm not sure. Usually they're bidding for these things 2 or 3 years out. Yeah. So I really don't know.
Okay, and we have some questions. It looks like
questions.
Questions. How can I get a boat if I register for Masters Nationals? And we talked about that a little bit. You said the manufacturers like Resolute and Hudson.
Right. Right. I think they're normally there, and you can contact them and find out, or else contact one of the local clubs, because I think a lot of the local clubs are interested in renting their boats out as well.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point, Charlotte. I'm going to have to look into that, whether the LOCs are actually posting the availability of boats. Again, this is my
LOC is what?
local organizing committee.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
because that's like, for me, I mean, I don't know, I could try and get on your trailer or a CRI trailer. I don't even know if they're going, but, just to kind of have a check mark when you register, do you have a boat? Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's things that are going to enhance the regattas as well. I mean, you said that the Northeast Regional Masters was canceled because of lack of participation. There again, advertising these events in a timely fashion so people know when they're coming. Or as I was mentioning before, most of these events are going through Regatta Central. And if you're a master, you can go at the beginning of the year and pull up the entire regatta schedule and check off this box and check off that box. And as entries are coming due for those particular events, they're sending you that out. So, you have to plan your calendar as well, to get those people to show up. But I think that's an interesting point. And we should really look into it as far as what the local organizing committee then is doing about renting boats and leasing boats. I know the major clubs that are coming in, like from Saugatuck here in Connecticut, or the West Coast clubs, they're going to come on big trailers, bringing their own stuff. But
but if you're someone like me, you kind of like, I mean,
right. Mm-hmm.
It's almost a bridge too far to kind of.
Yeah. It's actually a great opportunity to hop into a really nice boat. If you go to a regatta and you're renting a Hudson or a Filippi or whatever, you're gonna say, "Wow, this is really a step up from what I'm rowing with at home."
Yeah. So you could just call the boat manufacturers and say, are you going to nationals?
That's correct. I know through friends of mine that, Swift will be there, and I think Hudson will be there. And
Swift was at the guy from Swift was at our rowing camp in last winter.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Byron.
So we're going to wrap up a little bit here, but here's a question. Actually, I have to confess that I came up with this question. Motivational quote. Someone was traveling in Australia, saw a quote from you on a wall of a club, and they said, so what do you got for us today, Jim?
Well, I know who that person is. In fact, I ran into him at the Narragansett Regatta. That's Dan. And Dan actually wasn't in Australia. He was in New Zealand.
Sorry.
And he was training out of the National Training Center in Karaparo there. And he was lucky enough to go out with the head coaches and watch Maher Drysdale and all of the other greats in New Zealand training. And as he walked through the one training room is one of my quotes up on the wall. And he thought, wow, all the way from the United States, you got a Jim Dietz quote on the New Zealand wall. So
I think he even took a picture of it.
He did. Yeah, he did.
So what was that quote?
Sculling is a sport for dreamers. As long as you can put in the work, you own the dream. When the work stops, the dreams disappear.
Brilliant. Mm-hmm. Well, Jim, we appreciate you coming on and inspiring us in the Masters rowing endeavor. And it's like just got to get on the water and put in the meters, I guess.
That's it. Well, we'll have to have a follow up after the regatta. I'll let you know.
We're planning a recap. And so we hopefully get some pictures from you and stuff like that. And that'll be August 21st, I think.
I'll give you I'll give you a full list of the beers that I thought were best out there.
Excellent, excellent. And next week we're doing gadgets and gear. We're going to go with the big gadgets and gear. We're going to do boats, and I think we're going to have the guy from Resolute, the CEO of Resolute, and maybe Brian George of Swift, and we're just going to talk big stuff. So that'll be next week. And in the meantime, we would love to hear from our viewers and subscribers. And you can catch a lot more of this stuff, the links for these things on these forms that we have on our show notes, wherever you're listening. And we have club news. So every once in a while we have people on from the clubs, or we'll just report on your news. It doesn't matter how minor it is. Maybe you have a new boat rack, or a new building, or you're doing a membership drive or a fundraiser. So just send that in. We really love to kind of highlight the goings on from clubs around the country, because that's who we're trying to serve here with the podcast. And we also have the gadgets and gear, which is one of our favorite topics. And we have some great tips and tricks and hacks, and we'll try and cover a few of those next week, along with the big boats and the bigger items. But this Concept 2 $5 phone bracket, nothing is too small. If it helps you rowing, if you like it, if it's fun, if it keeps you coming back, let us know about it. And again, our sponsors, Faster Masters Rowing, or Inspired with the GoPro bracket, and the Rose and Thorn active bras. Also, my company, Pierce Press, All American Rowing Camp, and Seize the Oar. Our associate producer is Tara. Let's see, get her thing up here. Tara Morgan of Seize the Oar Foundation and Vashon Island Rowing Club. She's also a big Learn to Row advocate, and we cover that topic once in a while with her. Rowing Camp, Mark Wilson and Jim Dietz run this one in Florida. All American Rowing Camp, highly recommended. Doesn't matter if you're elite or somebody's mom, they will focus on you completely. So thank you guys for that. And upcoming episodes, we're going to have a back to school with Ryan Worth of UTennessee Chattanooga, and Tara Morgan will be on that. We'll have a coach's toolbox. Like I said, more club spotlights, head races. We're going to be covering head races quite a bit this fall, and gadgets and gear. So thank you again, Jim. You are the best, and we appreciate your words of wisdom.
My pleasure, Charlotte. We'll see you on the water.
Okay, it's a deal. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.